One of the most powerful secrets of money that has the power to completely change your financial life forever is trusting your divine self. This great change doesn't involve getting a new job, starting a business, or learning complicated money tricks that gurus try to sell you. This secret is about the person you need to become on the inside. Most people spend their whole lives chasing money on the outside while ignoring the most important part: what's happening in their heart and soul. Think about this for a moment. You probably know someone who works really hard, maybe even has multiple jobs, but still struggles with money. You might also know someone who seems to have money flow to them easily, almost like magic. What's the difference? The difference isn't how smart they are, what family they were born into, or even how hard they work. The real difference is their relationship with their divine self and what they truly believe they deserve. For example, if you want to have financial freedom and abundance, the truth is that you need to feel rich and worthy inside first, before money shows up outside. Otherwise, you'll keep jumping from one money idea to another, trying get-rich-quick schemes, new side hustles, different investment strategies, thinking something is wrong with your methods. But the real problem isn't your methods. The real problem is that you haven't connected with the part of you that knows you deserve good things. Here's what happens to most people. They look at their bank account, see it's low, and immediately start panicking. Then they start desperately searching for ways to make money. They might apply for more jobs, start a business they don't really care about, or even do things that don't feel right to them, all because they're operating from fear instead of faith. This creates a cycle where you're always chasing money from a place of lack and desperation. But when you're desperate for money, you actually push it away. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that when you really, really need something, it seems harder to get? That's because desperation has a certain energy to it, and that energy doesn't attract abundance. It attracts more reasons to be desperate. Your divine self, that wise, loving part of you that's connected to God and the universe, knows a completely different way to receive money. Your divine self doesn't chase money. It doesn't beg for money. It doesn't worry about money. Your divine self knows that you are already worthy of abundance simply because you exist. It knows that money is just energy, and like all energy, it flows where it's welcomed, not where it's desperately needed. So the first thing you need to learn is this: if you don't change how you feel about yourself inside, nothing will change with your money outside. This is the heart of trusting your divine self. Most people have this backwards. They think, when I have more money, then I'll feel better about myself. But that's not how it works. You have to feel worthy first, then the money follows. If you master this secret of trusting your divine self, everything you touch will turn to gold. I'm not talking about some fairy tale magic. I'm talking about real changes in your life. When you truly trust your divine self, opportunities start showing up. People want to help you. Ideas come to you. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. Money starts flowing in ways you never expected. But here's the part that scares most people. This means you have to face your fears about money and the voice in your head that says you're not good enough. You have to look at all the stories you've been telling yourself about why you can't have abundance. Stories like, people like me don't get rich, or money doesn't grow on trees, or I'm just not lucky with money. These voices in your head aren't really you. They're just old programming, often from childhood, that got stuck in your mind. Maybe someone told you that wanting money was greedy. Maybe you grew up hearing, "We can't afford that," so many times that you started believing you'll never be able to afford the things you want. Maybe you watched your parents fight about money and decided that money causes problems. But your divine self knows better. Your divine self knows that money is actually a tool for good. It knows that when good people like you have money, you use it to help others, to create beauty in the world, to take care of your family, to support causes you believe in. Your divine self isn't afraid of money. It welcomes money as a partner in creating a better life. If you're really ready to change your money story forever, this video is for you. I'm not going to give you some surface-level tips about budgeting or saving money. We're going deeper than that. We're going to the root of where your money problems actually come from, and we're going to heal them from the inside out. I'll also share with you a special prayer that I still use today that brings money miracles into my life. This isn't just theory for me. This is something I live by, something that completely transformed my financial life, and something I know can transform yours too. This prayer isn't about begging God for money. This prayer is about remembering who you really are and opening your heart to receive what's already yours. When you pray from your divine self instead of from your worried mind, everything changes. The universe responds differently, opportunities align differently, people show up differently in your life. But before I share that prayer with you, you need to understand what your divine self really is and why it's the key to everything you want in your financial life. Your divine self is the part of you that knows you deserve good things. It's not the voice in your head that's always worried and planning and trying to figure everything out. It's deeper than that. It's the part of you that feels peaceful and confident and connected to something bigger than yourself. When you're in touch with your divine self, you know, not just think, but know that you are worthy of love, abundance, and all the good things life has to offer. Think of it like this. Inside you, there are two voices. One voice is always worried about money. It says things like, "What if I run out of money?" Or, "I can't afford that," or, "I'll never have enough." This voice comes from fear, and it sees money as something that's hard to get and easy to lose. But there's another voice inside you, a quieter voice that comes from love instead of fear. This is your divine self speaking. This voice says things like, "I am provided for and good things are coming to me, and I trust that everything will work out." When you listen to this voice, you feel different. You feel calmer, more confident, more open to possibilities. Your divine self is connected to the same creative force that makes flowers bloom and birds find their way home during migration. This same force that keeps the planets in orbit and makes your heart beat without you having to think about it. This force also knows how to bring abundance into your life. Your divine self is plugged into this infinite creative power, and it knows things your worried mind doesn't know. Your worried mind can only see the problems and obstacles. It can only think of the ways things might go wrong, but your divine self can see the bigger picture. It can see opportunities that haven't shown up yet. It can see connections that haven't been made yet. It can see solutions that your mind hasn't thought of yet. Here's something your divine self understands that your worried mind doesn't. Money is just energy in motion. It's not some rare, precious thing that only special people get to have. Money flows around the world constantly, changing hands, creating value, solving problems. Right now, while you're listening to this, billions of dollars are moving around the world. People are making money, spending money, investing money, giving money away. Your divine self knows that you're part of this flow. You're not separate from it. You're not watching it from the outside, hoping to get lucky. You're actually part of the energy system that money flows through. When you trust your divine self, you stop trying to grab money and start allowing it to flow to you naturally. Most people approach money like they're trying to catch a wild animal. They're tense, they're desperate, they're grabbing at opportunities, they're afraid it's going to run away. But energy doesn't like to be grabbed. Energy likes to flow. When you're grabbing at money, you're actually creating resistance to it. Your divine self knows how to receive instead of grab. Receiving is gentle. Receiving is open. Receiving is trusting. When you're in receiving mode, you're like a flower that's open to receive sunlight and rain. You're not chasing the sun or trying to force the rain to fall. You're just open, and the good things flow to you naturally. Your worried mind has a very complicated relationship with worth. It thinks you have to earn your worth by doing things, achieving things, proving things. It thinks your worth goes up and down based on your performance. But your divine self sees worth completely differently. To your divine self, you are worthy simply because you exist. You don't have to earn your worth. You don't have to prove your worth. You were born worthy. You are a child of God, a spark of the divine, a unique expression of creative love. This worth doesn't change based on how much money you have or don't have. It doesn't change based on your mistakes or your successes. It's constant and unchanging. When you really understand that your worth isn't tied to your bank account, everything changes. You stop feeling desperate about money because you know your value as a person doesn't depend on how much you have. You stop feeling ashamed about money problems because you know they don't mean anything about who you are as a person. This shift in how you see yourself creates a shift in how you approach money. Instead of coming from desperation, you come from confidence. Instead of coming from fear, you come from love. Instead of thinking, I need money to be okay, you think I'm already okay, and money would be a nice addition to my life. Here's what's amazing about this shift. When you stop desperately needing money to feel good about yourself, you actually become more magnetic to money. People want to do business with confident people. Opportunities are attracted to people who feel worthy. Money flows toward people who welcome it without desperation. Think about the people in your life who seem to have an easy relationship with money. They're usually not stressed about it. They're not constantly talking about money problems. They have a relaxed confidence that things will work out. This relaxed confidence is what happens when someone trusts their divine self. Your divine self doesn't think in terms of scarcity. It doesn't worry that there's not enough to go around. Your divine self is connected to infinite abundance. It knows that the universe is constantly creating more of everything, more stars, more planets, more flowers, more ideas, more love. In a universe that's constantly expanding and creating, there's no shortage of anything, including money. When you trust your divine self, you start thinking from abundance instead of scarcity. Instead of thinking, I can't afford that, you start thinking, how can I afford that? Instead of thinking, money is hard to come by, you start thinking, money flows easily when I'm aligned with my divine self. Instead of thinking, I don't deserve abundance, you start thinking, abundance is my natural state. Your ego, that part of your mind that's always comparing and competing and worrying, sees money as a way to prove that you're better than other people. The ego wants money so it can feel superior, so it can buy things to impress people, so it can feel safe and in control. But your divine self has a completely different relationship with money. Your divine self sees money as a tool for expressing love in the world. It wants money so you can take care of yourself and your loved ones, so you can be generous with others, so you can create beauty and joy and positive change in the world. When you want money from your ego, it feels stressful and competitive. When you want money from your divine self, it feels peaceful and purposeful. The universe can tell the difference, and it responds accordingly. Thinking. I've written about 2,000 plus words covering the first 3 sections. I need to make sure I hit the 4,000 word minimum while maintaining the quality and staying focused on these first 3 sections. Let me continue expanding on section 3 to reach the target length while keeping the content valuable and engaging. Many people ask me, How do I know when I'm connected to my divine self versus when I'm just thinking positive thoughts? This is a great question because there's a real difference. Positive thinking comes from your mind trying to convince itself that things will be okay. But connecting with your divine self comes from a deeper place, a place of knowing, not just hoping. When you're connected to your divine self, you feel a sense of peace even when your external circumstances aren't perfect. You feel grateful for what you have, even while you're working toward what you want. You feel generous and loving toward others instead of jealous or competitive. You feel curious and excited about life instead of worried and stressed. Most importantly, when you're connected to your divine self, money stops feeling like this big, scary, complicated thing. It starts feeling simple and natural. You start seeing money opportunities everywhere, not because you're desperately looking for them, but because you're open to receiving them. Your divine self also understands something about timing that your worried mind doesn't understand. Your mind wants everything right now. It wants the money problem solved today, the debt paid off this week, the financial freedom achieved this month. But your divine self knows that everything unfolds in perfect timing. This doesn't mean you sit around waiting for money to fall from the sky. It means you take inspired action, action that feels good and right and aligned, while trusting that the results will come in the perfect time. Sometimes that means an opportunity shows up faster than you expected. Sometimes it means you have to be patient a little longer than you wanted. But when you trust divine timing, you're never stressed about the when, because you know the what is already taken care of. Here's something beautiful that happens when you connect with your divine self around money. You start to see how your financial abundance is connected to your life purpose. Your divine self doesn't want you to have money just so you can buy more stuff. It wants you to have money so you can live your purpose more fully. Maybe your purpose is to create art that inspires people, but you can't focus on your art because you're stressed about paying bills. Your divine self wants you to have financial freedom so you can create freely. Maybe your purpose is to help people heal, but you can't afford the training you need. Your divine self wants you to have the money for that training. When you see money as fuel for your purpose instead of just something you need to survive, everything changes. You're not just asking the universe for money, you're asking for the resources you need to serve your highest good and the highest good of others. Most of us have learned to disconnect from our divine self when it comes to money. We've been taught that spirituality and money don't mix, that wanting money is greedy, that good people don't care about money. These beliefs create blocks between us and our divine self. But here's the truth: your divine self wants you to have money. Not because money is the most important thing, but because money is one of the tools you need to live a full, free, generous life on this earth. Your divine self wants you to be able to take care of yourself and your family. It wants you to be able to help others. It wants you to have beautiful experiences and create beautiful things. When you connect with your divine self, you start to see money differently. You start to see it as sacred energy that carries the intentions and love of the people who earned it and spent it. Every dollar that comes to you carries a story. Someone worked for it, created value with it, chose to exchange it with you for something you offered. This sacred view of money makes you more respectful of it, more grateful for it, and more conscious about how you use it. You stop wasting money on things that don't matter to you, and you start investing it in things that align with your values and your purpose. One of the most beautiful things about trusting your divine self with money is that it makes you naturally generous. When you know that abundance is your natural state, when you trust that more is always coming, it becomes easy to share what you have. This generosity isn't about giving money away to try to manipulate the universe into giving you more. It's about recognizing that you're part of a flow of abundance. And the more you let that abundance flow through you to others, the more it can flow to you as well. Your divine self knows that hoarding money out of fear actually blocks the flow of abundance, but sharing money from love keeps the flow moving. This is why people who are generous tend to have more opportunities come their way. They're not blocking the flow, they're participating in it. When you're connected to your divine self, making financial decisions becomes much easier. Instead of trying to figure out the right choice with your mind, you can feel into what your divine self is guiding you toward. Your divine self will never guide you toward decisions that harm others or that compromise your integrity. It will never tell you to take shortcuts that don't feel right or to chase money in ways that don't align with your values. Your divine self always guides you toward decisions that serve your highest good and the highest good of everyone involved. This inner guidance system is much more reliable than trying to analyze every financial decision with your mind. Your mind can get caught up in fear and worry and end up making decisions that keep you stuck. But your divine self sees the bigger picture and can guide you toward choices that move you toward abundance. Everyone has fears about money. Fear of not having enough, fear of losing what you have, fear of making the wrong financial choices. These fears are normal, but they don't have to control your life. When fears about money come up, instead of trying to push them away or ignore them, you can bring them to your divine self. Your divine self is big enough to hold all your fears with love and compassion. It doesn't judge you for being afraid. It just reminds you of the truth, that you are safe, you are provided for, and you are worthy of abundance. Your divine self can transform your relationship with money fears. Instead of seeing them as evidence that something is wrong, you can see them as opportunities to deepen your trust and connection with the divine part of yourself that knows everything is going to be okay. The first key to trusting your divine self with money is understanding that your bank account is like a mirror. It shows you exactly how your divine self feels about money and abundance. This might sound strange at first, but once you understand this principle, everything about your financial life starts to make sense. Think about when you look in a physical mirror. The mirror doesn't judge what it reflects. It doesn't decide to show you something different than what's actually there. It simply reflects back exactly what you put in front of it. Your financial life works the same way. If deep down in your heart you feel unworthy of wealth, the mirror of your bank account shows you empty pockets and constant money struggles. If your divine self has been programmed to believe, "I always struggle with money," or "people like me never get ahead financially," then life gives you more struggles and situations that prove you're right. The mirror of reality doesn't argue with your beliefs. It just shows you more evidence of whatever you truly believe about yourself and money. Here's how this works in practical terms. Let's say you grew up hearing your parents say, "Money doesn't grow on trees, and we have to work hard for every penny." Your divine self absorbed these beliefs as truth. Now, even as an adult, part of you believes that money is scarce and hard to get. So when you look for opportunities to make money, you unconsciously look for opportunities that are hard and scarce. When easy money opportunities show up, you don't trust them because they don't match your belief about how money works. You end up choosing the hard path because that's what feels right to your programmed beliefs. The mirror of your financial life then reflects this back to you by showing you constant struggle, working hard for small amounts of money and opportunities that always seem just out of reach. You think this is just how life is, but really it's just your beliefs being reflected back to you. The mirror of your money life reflects two main things: your relationship with yourself and your relationship with the world around you. If you don't feel good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough, Your money mirror will reflect that back to you through situations that make you feel not good enough about money. Maybe you find yourself in jobs where you're undervalued and underpaid. Maybe you have great ideas but never feel confident enough to pursue them. Maybe you always end up in financial situations where you're asking for help instead of being able to help others. All of these situations are just mirrors reflecting back your inner relationship with yourself. Your money mirror also reflects your worldview, how you see the world around you. If you believe the world is a dangerous place where people are trying to take advantage of you, your money experiences will reflect that belief. You'll encounter dishonest business partners, scam opportunities, and situations where you lose money to people who don't have your best interests at heart. But if your divine self believes that the world is fundamentally good and supportive, that there are plenty of honest people who want to help you succeed, then your money mirror reflects that instead. You encounter mentors, supportive business partners, and opportunities that benefit everyone involved. The mirror of your financial life doesn't just reflect your thoughts, it reflects your energy. You can say positive affirmations about money all day long, but if deep down you're scared of not having enough, the mirror reflects the fear, not the words. Your divine self communicates through energy and feeling, not just through thoughts. When you truly trust your divine self, there's a relaxed confidence in your energy around money. You're not desperate or grasping. You're not worried or anxious. You're open and receptive and trusting. This energy gets reflected back to you through easier money flows, better opportunities, and people who want to support your financial success. Here's something important about how your money mirror works. It shows you more of whatever you focus on. If you spend most of your time thinking about what you don't have, worrying about bills, or complaining about money problems, the mirror says, "Oh, you want to focus on money problems? Here are more money problems to focus on." But when you start focusing on abundance, gratitude, and possibilities, the mirror starts reflecting those things back to you instead. This doesn't mean you ignore real financial challenges, but it means you don't make those challenges the main focus of your attention. Most people get trapped in a cycle with their money mirror. They look at their bank account, see that it's low, and feel bad about themselves. Then they make decisions from that bad feeling. Maybe they take a job they don't like because they're desperate, or they try to make money in ways that don't feel good to them. These decisions create more situations that make them feel bad about money, and the cycle continues. The way to break this cycle is to start changing what you show the mirror instead of just looking at what the mirror is showing you. This means connecting with your divine self and the truth of who you are before you look at your bank account. It means remembering your worth before you check your financial situation. Your divine self knows that your worth has nothing to do with your bank account balance. It knows that you are valuable and deserving of abundance regardless of your current financial situation. When you connect with this truth first, and then look at your money situation, you see it differently. Instead of seeing an empty bank account as proof that you're not good enough, you see it as a temporary situation that you have the power to change. Instead of seeing debt as evidence that you're a failure, you see it as information about what needs to shift in your relationship with money. To change what your money mirror reflects, you have to change your inner money story. This means getting clear about what you really believe about money and where those beliefs came from. Many of our money beliefs aren't even ours. They're things we picked up from our families, our communities, or our culture. Your divine self wants to help you write a new money story, one that's based on truth instead of fear. In this new story, you are worthy of abundance. Money flows to you easily because you're aligned with your purpose. You use money as a tool for good in the world. You're generous and grateful and trusting. As you practice connecting with your divine self and living from this new money story, your financial mirror starts reflecting different things back to you. Opportunities start showing up that match your new beliefs about yourself and money. People start treating you differently in financial situations. You start making different choices because you're coming from a different place inside. This change doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. Every time you choose to see yourself through the eyes of your divine self instead of through the lens of your money fears, you're changing what gets reflected back to you. The second key to trusting your divine self with money is understanding that your divine self works on God's timing, not your timing. This is probably one of the hardest things for most people to accept, especially when they're stressed about money and want their situation to change right now. We live in a world of instant gratification. We can order food and have it delivered in 30 minutes. We can buy something online and have it at our door the next day. We can send a message to someone on the other side of the world and get a response in seconds. Because so many things in our modern life happen quickly, we expect our prayers and our financial changes to happen quickly too. But your divine self operates on a different timeline than Amazon Prime. When you pray for money or set a financial goal or decide to trust your divine self with your abundance, it doesn't show up instantly like magic. Your divine self needs time to shift your energy, align circumstances, and open doors that will lead to lasting change. Your worried mind wants everything right now because it's afraid that if things don't change quickly, they'll never change at all. But your divine self has a much bigger perspective. It can see things that haven't happened yet. It can see how different events need to line up to create the best possible outcome for you. Sometimes what looks like a delay is actually divine protection. Maybe there's an opportunity coming that's much better than what you're asking for right now, but you need to develop certain skills or meet certain people first. Maybe there are lessons you need to learn that will help you handle abundance wisely when it comes. Your divine self loves you too much to give you something before you're ready for it. It wants to make sure that when abundance comes, you can receive it fully and use it wisely. Human time is measured by clocks and calendars. Divine time is measured by readiness and alignment. In human time, you might think, I need money by the end of this month. In divine time, the question is, when will I be ready to receive and handle the abundance that's meant for me? Sometimes these timelines match up, and your prayers are answered quickly. Sometimes divine timing requires more patience than you wanted to have. But divine timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't feel that way to your human mind. The biggest challenge with divine timing is staying faithful to your divine self during the waiting period. This is where most people give up. They trust their divine self for a few days or weeks, don't see immediate results, and then go back to worrying and trying to control everything with their mind. But here's what you need to understand. The waiting period is not wasted time. During this time, your divine self is working behind the scenes, arranging things in your favor. It's shifting your energy, opening your heart, connecting you with the right people, and preparing you for the abundance that's coming. While you're waiting for your outer circumstances to change, your divine self is doing inner work with you. It's healing old wounds around money. It's clearing limiting beliefs that would block your abundance. It's strengthening your faith and your sense of worth. It's teaching you to trust even when you can't see the results yet. This inner work is just as important as the outer results, maybe even more important, because if your circumstances change but your inner world stays the same, you'll just recreate the same money problems in a different form. But when your inner world changes first, the outer changes are lasting and meaningful. Even though you might not see immediate financial results, there are signs that divine timing is working in your life. You might start feeling more peaceful about money, even though your bank account hasn't changed yet. You might start having ideas and insights about new ways to create income. You might start meeting people who could help you in your financial journey. These signs are just as important as actual money showing up because they show you that the process is working. Your divine self is preparing the way for your abundance. Trust these signs and keep faith in the process. Divine timing requires consistent faith, not perfect faith. You don't have to feel completely confident every single day. You don't have to never have doubts or worries. But you do need to keep coming back to your divine self. Keep choosing trust over fear. Keep believing that your good is on the way. Think of it like planting a garden. You don't plant seeds and then dig them up every day to see if they're growing. You plant them, water them, give them sunlight, and trust that growth is happening even when you can't see it. Your financial abundance is growing in the same way. Many people give up on trusting their divine self right before their breakthrough comes. They've been faithful for weeks or months. They don't see the results they want, and they decide it's not working. But what they don't realize is that their breakthrough was just around the corner. This is like being pregnant and deciding to give up on having a baby just one day before your due date. The baby was ready to be born, but you gave up right before the delivery. Your financial breakthrough might be ready to show up, but you have to stay faithful until divine timing brings it into your reality. Patience is not just waiting passively for things to happen. True patience is actively trusting while you wait. It's continuing to take inspired action even when you don't see immediate results. It's maintaining your faith and your positive energy even when your circumstances haven't changed yet. Your divine self honors this kind of patience because it shows that your trust is real, not just conditional on getting what you want right away. When you can trust divine timing, you're showing that your relationship with your divine self is based on love and faith, not just on getting things from it. Making peace with divine timing starts with understanding that your divine self wants good things for you even more than you want them for yourself. Your divine self isn't withholding your abundance to punish you or test you. It's coordinating all the elements that need to come together to create lasting, meaningful abundance in your life. When you trust that divine timing is working in your favor, not against you, waiting becomes easier. You can relax into the process instead of fighting against it. You can use the waiting time to prepare yourself for abundance instead of just being frustrated that it hasn't arrived yet. The third key to trusting your divine self with money is understanding that your divine self doesn't hear your complaints. It hears what you focus on. This is one of the most important principles to understand if you want to change your financial life, because most people accidentally keep asking for more of what they don't want without realizing it. There's a universal law that says you get more of whatever you focus on. This isn't just positive thinking or wishful thinking. This is how energy works in the universe. Whatever you give your attention to grows stronger in your life. Whatever you think about most often becomes your reality. If you keep saying, "I hate being broke, I hate my bills, I hate not having money," your divine self hears broke, bills, no money, and brings you more experiences that match those words. Your divine self isn't trying to punish you. It's just responding to what you're focusing on. Your divine self doesn't process your words the way your logical mind does. When you say, "I don't want to be broke," your logical mind understands that you want to have money. But your divine self hears broke as the main focus and creates more experiences of being broke. This is why people who constantly complain about money problems tend to have more money problems. They think they're expressing their desire for change, but they're actually reinforcing the problems they want to escape from. Your divine self doesn't just respond to positive or negative emotions, it responds to the specific content of your focus. If you're angry about your low-paying job, Your divine self doesn't just hear anger, it hears low-paying job and creates more situations where you feel underpaid and undervalued. If you're worried about not having enough money for retirement, your divine self doesn't just hear worry, it hears not having enough money for retirement and starts creating circumstances that match that focus. There's a big difference between acknowledging your current situation and constantly complaining about it. Acknowledging means you're aware of where you are without getting stuck there. Complaining means you're giving all your energy and attention to what you don't want. When you acknowledge your financial situation, you might say something like, "I currently have limited funds, and I'm open to new opportunities for abundance." When you complain about your financial situation, you might say, "I never have enough money. I'm always struggling. I can't afford anything." Can you feel the difference in energy between these two approaches? The first one acknowledges reality but stays open to change. The second one reinforces the problem and closes off possibilities. When you focus on what you're grateful for instead of what you lack, you completely change your energy around money. Gratitude is one of the highest vibrations you can have, and high vibrations attract more good things into your life. Instead of saying, "I only have $20 in my bank account," you could say, "I'm grateful for the $20 I have and I'm open to receiving more." Instead of saying, "I hate my job," you could say, "I'm grateful this job is teaching me what I want to do next." This doesn't mean you have to be grateful for genuinely bad situations, but it means you look for what you can appreciate even in challenging circumstances. Your divine self responds powerfully when you focus on what you want instead of what you don't want. Instead of thinking, "I don't want to be broke," start thinking, "I want to feel financially free and abundant." Instead of thinking, "I hate struggling with money," start thinking, "I love having plenty of money to take care of myself and help others." This shift in focus literally changes the instructions you're giving to your divine self and to the universe. You're asking for abundance instead of reinforcing scarcity. Practicing positive financial focus doesn't mean you ignore real problems or pretend everything is perfect when it's not. It means you spend most of your mental and emotional energy on what you want to create instead of on what you want to escape from. You can acknowledge that you have bills to pay without making bill paying the main focus of your day. You can be aware that you want more money without spending all your time thinking about not having enough money. One of the most powerful things you can do is start each day by focusing on abundance instead of scarcity. Before you check your bank account, before you think about your bills, before you worry about money, spend a few minutes connecting with your divine self and focusing on abundance. You might say something like, "I'm grateful for all the abundance in my life. I'm open to receiving more money in wonderful ways. I trust that my divine self is bringing me opportunities for financial growth." This sets the tone for your whole day and gives your divine self clear instructions about what you want to experience. When you consistently focus on abundance instead of scarcity, your whole experience of money starts to change. You start noticing opportunities that were always there, but that you couldn't see before. You start feeling more confident about your ability to create money. You start attracting people and situations that support your financial growth. This isn't magic, it's just how focus works. When you're focused on problems, you see more problems. When you're focused on possibilities, you see more possibilities. Changing your focus from problems to possibilities can be challenging at first, especially if you've been focused on money problems for a long time. Your mind has created strong neural pathways around financial worry, and it takes time and practice to create new pathways around financial abundance. Be patient with yourself as you make this shift. Every time you catch yourself focusing on what you don't want and redirect your attention to what you do want, You're strengthening your abundance focus and weakening your scarcity focus. Changing your focus from problems to possibilities is essential because you can't solve a money problem by giving all your attention to the problem. Problems are solved by focusing on solutions. Abundance is created by focusing on abundance, not by focusing on the lack of abundance. Your divine self is always ready to help you create more abundance in your life, but it needs clear instructions from you about what you want. When you focus on blessings, gratitude, and possibilities, you're giving your divine self the clearest possible instructions about what you want to experience. The goal is to make abundance focus your new habit instead of scarcity focus. This means catching yourself when you start to complain about money and redirecting your attention to what you're grateful for and what you want to create. This takes practice, but it gets easier over time. Eventually, abundance focus becomes as natural as scarcity focus used to be, and your financial life starts reflecting this new way of thinking and being. The fourth key to trusting your divine self with money is learning the divine cycle that creates money miracles. This is the most practical key because it shows you exactly how to reverse the pattern that keeps most people stuck in financial struggle. Once you understand this cycle and start using it, you'll literally see your financial reality begin to change before your eyes. Most people approach money in a way that actually keeps them stuck in financial struggle, and they don't even realize they're doing it. Here's how the typical cycle works. First, they look at their empty bank account or their pile of bills. This observation makes them feel scared, anxious, or desperate about money. From that scared, desperate feeling, they try to take action to make money or solve their financial problems. But here's the problem. When you take action from fear and desperation, you make different choices than when you take action from confidence and trust. Desperate energy attracts desperate situations. Fearful energy attracts more things to be fearful about. So even when people work really hard to make money, they end up creating more struggle because they're operating from the wrong energy. The traditional approach to money problems is to look at your situation, figure out what's wrong, and then try to fix it through external action alone. This might be getting another job, starting a side business, cutting expenses, or following some money-making strategy you found online. But if you don't change the internal energy and beliefs that created your financial situation in the first place, you'll just recreate the same problems in a different form. You might make more money for a while, but then you'll find ways to lose it or spend it unwisely. You might get a better job, but then you'll end up in conflict with your new boss. The external circumstances change, but the underlying pattern stays the same. Your divine self knows a completely different way to create money and abundance. Instead of starting with observation of your current problems, the divine approach starts with connection to your divine worth and vision for abundance. Instead of taking action from fear, you take action from faith. Instead of desperately trying to grab money, you open yourself to receive the abundance that's already flowing towards you. Here's how the divine money cycle works. First, you connect with your divine self and remember who you really are, a worthy, beloved child of God who deserves abundance. From that place of worth and connection, you create a clear vision of the financial abundance you want to experience. Then, feeling abundant and grateful even before you see the money, you take inspired action toward your goals. The divine money cycle always starts with identity, not circumstances. Before you look at your bank account, before you think about your bills, before you worry about your financial situation, you connect with your divine identity. You remember that you are worthy of abundance, not because of what you've done or achieved, but simply because you exist. This isn't about pretending you don't have financial challenges. It's about remembering who you are at the deepest level before you deal with those challenges. When you start from your divine identity, You approach money situations from strength instead of weakness, from abundance instead of scarcity, from love instead of fear. Once you're connected to your divine identity, the next step is to create a clear vision of the financial abundance you want to experience. This isn't just about having more money. It's about what that money will allow you to do, be, and give in the world. Your divine self wants you to have money not just for your own comfort, but so you can live your purpose more fully. Maybe financial abundance means you can quit the job that drains your energy and start the business that excites you. Maybe it means you can move to a place that feels more like home. Maybe it means you can be generous with others in ways you've always wanted to be. Here's where the divine money cycle becomes really powerful. You practice feeling abundant and grateful before you see the money show up. This is the opposite of what most people do. Most people think, I'll feel abundant when I have more money. But the divine approach is, I'll feel abundant now, and that will help me attract more money. This doesn't mean you pretend to have money you don't have or spend money you don't have. It means you cultivate the internal experience of abundance, gratitude, generosity, confidence, peace, even while you're working toward external abundance. When you take action from a feeling of abundance instead of desperation, you make completely different choices. You're more likely to pursue opportunities that feel good and align with your values. You're more likely to treat people well in business situations. You're more likely to make decisions that create long-term success instead of just quick fixes. People can feel the difference in your energy, and they respond differently to you. Customers are more drawn to you. Employers are more likely to promote you. Business partners are more likely to trust you. Opportunities seem to show up more easily because you're approaching them from a different energy. In the divine money cycle, observation comes after action, not before. Instead of observing your problems and then trying to fix them, you take inspired action from abundance and then observe what's working. You look for evidence that your divine approach is creating positive changes in your financial life. Maybe you notice that people are responding to you differently. Maybe you notice that new opportunities are showing up. Maybe you notice that you feel more peaceful about money even before your bank account changes dramatically. These observations reinforce your faith in the process and encourage you to keep going. The final step in the divine money cycle is confirmation. Instead of looking for all the ways your financial situation is still problematic, you actively look for signs that abundance is flowing into your life. This might be small amounts of unexpected money, new opportunities, helpful people showing up, or even just feeling more optimistic about your financial future. This confirmation phase is crucial because it trains your mind to notice abundance instead of scarcity. What you focus on grows, so when you actively look for signs of abundance, you start to see more and more evidence that abundance is your natural state. The beautiful thing about the divine money cycle is that it breaks the old pattern of financial struggle at its root. Instead of being trapped in a cycle of observing problems, feeling bad, and taking desperate action, you create a new cycle of connecting with your worth, envisioning abundance, feeling grateful, taking inspired action, and confirming your progress. This new cycle becomes self-reinforcing. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. The more natural it becomes, the more your external financial reality starts to reflect your internal abundance. The divine money cycle creates lasting change because it addresses the root cause of financial struggle, which is always internal. When you change your internal relationship with money and abundance, your external circumstances have to change to match your new internal reality. This is why people who win the lottery often end up broke again within a few years, while people who build wealth from a foundation of inner abundance tend to keep growing their wealth over time. External changes without internal changes are temporary. Internal changes create lasting external changes. I want to share something very personal with you because I know that when you're struggling with money, it can feel like nobody understands what you're going through. I want you to know that I've been where you are, and I want you to see that trusting your divine self with money isn't just theory. It's something that actually works in real life. Several years ago, I was in the darkest financial period of my life. I was completely broke, not just low on money, but actually in debt with no clear way out. I had tried everything I could think of to improve my situation. I had worked multiple jobs at once, started several different side businesses that failed, and even took out loans that only made my situation worse. Every morning I would wake up with this knot in my stomach, thinking about all the bills I couldn't pay and all the people I owed money to. I would check my bank account multiple times a day, hoping somehow that money had magically appeared, but of course it never had. I felt like a failure, like I was just bad with money, like I would never be able to get ahead financially. The worst part wasn't even the lack of money, it was how desperate and powerless I felt. I had always thought of myself as a capable person, someone who could figure things out and solve problems. But no matter how hard I worked or how many different strategies I tried, my financial situation just kept getting worse. It was during this time of desperation that I started exploring spirituality more deeply. I had always believed in God, but I had never really connected my spiritual beliefs with my practical life circumstances. I started reading books about faith and abundance, attending spiritual meetings, and most importantly, I started praying differently. Up until that point, my prayers about money had been desperate begging. I would pray things like, "Please God, just help me pay my bills this month," or "Please send me some money so I can get out of this mess." These prayers came from fear and desperation, and they never seemed to be answered. But then I learned about praying from my divine self instead of from my worried mind. I started praying differently. Instead of begging for money to solve my problems, I started thanking God for the abundance that was already mine. Instead of focusing on what I lacked, I started acknowledging my worth as a child of God. My new prayer went something like this: "Thank you, God, for knowing my worth even when I forget it. Thank you for the abundance that flows through your universe. I open my heart to receive the good things you have for me. I trust that you know my needs and that you're already providing for me in ways I can't see yet." This shift from begging to receiving changed everything about my energy around money. Instead of feeling desperate and grasping, I started feeling peaceful and open. Instead of constantly worrying about money, I started trusting that my needs would be met. Instead of feeling like I had to force things to happen, I started believing that good things were already on their way to me. This didn't happen overnight. At first, it felt strange to thank God for abundance when my bank account was empty. It felt almost dishonest to feel grateful when I had so many financial problems. But I kept practicing this new way of praying and thinking, even when it felt uncomfortable. The first changes I noticed weren't in my bank account. They were in how I felt about money and about myself. I started sleeping better at night because I wasn't lying awake worrying about bills. I started treating people better in my daily interactions because I wasn't constantly stressed and irritable. I started having ideas and insights about new ways to approach my work and my finances. Then small things started happening. A friend mentioned a job opportunity that turned out to be perfect for me. Someone offered to help me with a project that had been stressing me out. I found money in old pants pockets that I had forgotten about. These weren't huge miracles, but they felt like signs that something was shifting. The real breakthrough came about 6 months after I started praying and thinking differently about money. I had been offered a freelance project that seemed too good to be true. It paid well. It was work I enjoyed. and the client was someone I really liked working with. The old me would have been suspicious of such a good opportunity, but my divine self recognized it as an answer to my prayers. That project led to more projects with the same company. Within a year, I was earning more money than I ever had before, and I was doing work that I actually loved. But more importantly, my whole relationship with money had changed. I no longer felt desperate or afraid about finances. I felt confident that I could create abundance whenever I needed it. Looking back on that experience, I learned several important lessons that I want to share with you. First, I learned that my financial problems weren't really about money. They were about my beliefs about myself and my worth. When I changed those beliefs by connecting with my divine self, the money situation changed naturally. Second, I learned that trusting your divine self doesn't mean sitting around waiting for miracles to happen. It means taking action from a place of faith instead of fear. The opportunities that came to me still required me to work and make good decisions, but I was making those decisions from a completely different energy. I share this story not to brag about my success, but to show you that trusting your divine self with money is real and it works. I'm not special or particularly gifted when it comes to money. I'm just someone who learned to trust the divine part of myself that knows I'm worthy of abundance. If this can work for someone like me, who was completely broke and desperate just a few years ago, it can work for you too. Your divine self is just as powerful as mine. Your worth in God's eyes is just as great as anyone else's. Your capacity for abundance is just as unlimited as anyone else's. My financial story didn't end with that breakthrough. I've continued to grow and learn about trusting my divine self with money. There have been other challenges and other opportunities to deepen my faith, but I've never again experienced the kind of desperate financial fear that I lived with before I learned these principles. More importantly, I've been able to help other people discover the same trust in their divine self that transformed my life. This is why I'm sharing these teachings with you. This isn't just theory or positive thinking. This is a real spiritual principle that creates real changes in people's lives. Right now, as you're listening to this, your divine self is ready to create miracles in your financial life too. You don't have to wait until you feel completely ready or until you have perfect faith. You just have to be willing to start trusting your divine self a little bit more than you trust your worried mind. Your breakthrough might come quickly, or it might take some time. It might look exactly like you expect, or it might surprise you completely. But if you commit to trusting your divine self with your money, I promise you that your life will change in ways that will amaze you. As we go deeper into trusting your divine self with money, you discover a power inside you that you may have forgotten was there. This isn't a power that you have to earn or develop through years of study. This is a power that you were born with, a power that's part of your spiritual DNA, a power that's just waiting for you to remember it and start using it. What you see in your bank account right now is really just an echo of how much your divine self believes you deserve abundance. But here's what most people don't understand: that echo isn't permanent. It's not a judgment on your worth or a prediction of your future. It's just information about what your divine self has been programmed to believe up until now. The beautiful truth is that you have the power to change that programming. You have the power to teach your divine self new beliefs about money and abundance. You have the power to create a completely different financial reality for yourself, starting right now. Your divine self isn't separate from God or the universe. It's your connection to the infinite creative power that runs through everything. When you trust your divine self with money, you're not just asking for help from the outside. You're actually awakening your own role as a co-creator of your reality. This means you're not a victim of your circumstances. You're not at the mercy of the economy or your boss or your family situation. You have real power to influence and change your financial reality because you're connected to the same creative force that makes flowers bloom and rivers flow and stars shine. The secret that most people never learn is that the universe isn't holding back your abundance. You are, not intentionally, but through old beliefs and fears that block the natural flow of abundance to you. Your divine self wants to help you clear these blocks and open up to receive the good things that are already trying to reach you. Think about it this way: abundance is like sunlight. The sun doesn't decide to shine on some people and not others. Sunlight is available to everyone, but some people live in houses with the curtains drawn. The sunlight is there, waiting, but it can't get in because the windows are covered. Your job isn't to create abundance. Abundance already exists everywhere around you. Your job is to open the curtains, to remove the blocks, to let your natural abundance flow to you and through you. One of the biggest blocks to abundance is the belief that you have to prove your worth before you can have good things. But your divine self knows that your worth isn't something you earn, it's something you are. You don't have to be perfect to deserve abundance. You don't have to never make mistakes. You don't have to be more spiritual or more generous or more anything than you already are. You deserve abundance simply because you exist. You deserve it because you're a unique expression of divine love in the world. You deserve it because the same creative force that made mountains and oceans and galaxies also made you. And everything that force creates is worthy of good things. Many people try to create abundance by forcing it, working harder, pushing more, trying to control every detail of how money comes to them. But your divine self knows that abundance flows more easily when you allow it rather than force it. Allowing doesn't mean being passive or lazy. It means taking inspired action while staying open to possibilities you hadn't thought of. It means working toward your goals while trusting that the universe might have an even better plan than yours. When you allow abundance instead of forcing it, you stay relaxed and open. You notice opportunities that you would miss if you were stressed and focused on just one way of making money. You attract people who want to help you because your energy is peaceful and magnetic instead of desperate and grasping. Your worried mind can only see your current circumstances, your current bank account, your current job, your current bills. But your divine self can see beyond what currently exists to what's possible for you. It can see opportunities that haven't shown up yet. It can see connections that haven't been made yet. It can see solutions that haven't occurred to you yet. This is why trusting your divine self requires faith. You're not just trusting what you can see and prove. You're trusting what your divine self knows is possible for you, even when you can't see how it will happen. Just like how God multiplied the loaves and fishes to feed thousands of people, your divine self knows how to multiply whatever you already have. Instead of focusing on what you lack, your divine self focuses on what you have and finds ways to make it grow. Maybe you have talents that you haven't fully developed yet. Maybe you have connections that you haven't utilized yet. Maybe you have ideas that you haven't acted on yet. Your divine self can take these seeds of abundance that already exist in your life and help them grow into something much bigger. Gratitude isn't just a nice spiritual practice. It's actually one of the most powerful tools for creating abundance. When you're grateful for what you have, you're telling your divine self, I notice and appreciate abundance when it shows up in my life. This makes your divine self want to bring you more things to be grateful for. But when you focus on what you lack, you're telling your divine self, I notice and focus on scarcity. So your divine self brings you more experiences of scarcity to match what you're focusing on. This is why people who practice gratitude regularly tend to have more abundance in their lives. They're not just being positive. they're actually training their divine self to notice and create more abundance. When you allow your divine self to create abundance in your life, it doesn't just benefit you. Your abundance creates a ripple effect that touches everyone around you. When you have enough money, you can be more generous with others. When you're not stressed about finances, you can be more patient and kind with your family. When you're living your purpose instead of just surviving, you contribute more value to the world. Your divine self wants you to have abundance not just for your own sake, but for the sake of everyone whose life you touch. Your abundance is part of how you serve the world. The most important thing to remember as you awaken your divine money power is who you really are. You're not just a human being trying to figure out how to pay your bills. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. You're a child of God, connected to infinite love and abundance. You're a co-creator with the universe, capable of participating in miracles. When you remember this truth about yourself, creating abundance becomes natural instead of difficult. It becomes an expression of your true nature instead of something you have to struggle for. Your journey with your divine self and money is really about remembering a truth that you may have forgotten, that you are a beloved child of God who deserves good things. You have the power to create, to receive, to live abundantly. This power isn't something you have to earn or develop. It's something you already have, waiting for you to trust it and use it. Before we end our time together, I want to share with you the special prayer that I mentioned earlier, the prayer that has brought money miracles into my life and the lives of many people I've taught these principles to. This isn't a magic formula that automatically makes money appear. It's a way of connecting with your divine self and aligning your heart with abundance. Here's the prayer. Divine God, thank you for knowing my worth even when I forget it. Thank you for the abundance that flows through your universe and for my rightful place in that flow. I release my fears about money and open my heart to receive the good things you have for me. I trust that you know my needs and that you're already providing for me in ways I can't see yet. Help me to see myself as you see me, worthy, beloved, and deserving of abundance. Guide my steps and open my eyes to the opportunities you're sending my way. Thank you for the miracles that are already on their way to me. Amen. Say this prayer every morning when you wake up, before you check your phone or your bank account or start thinking about your to-do list. Say it again at night before you go to sleep. Say it whenever you start feeling worried about money or when you catch yourself focusing on financial problems. But don't just say the words, feel them. Connect with the truth behind them. Remember that you really are worthy of abundance. Remember that God really does want good things for you. Remember that miracles really are possible in your life. In addition to this prayer, I want you to start a daily practice of connecting with your divine self before you make any financial decisions or even think about money. This might mean spending 5 minutes in quiet meditation, reading something inspiring, or simply taking 3 deep breaths and remembering who you really are. When you start your day connected to your divine self instead of connected to your financial worries, everything changes. You make different choices. You see different opportunities. You attract different circumstances. You approach money from love instead of fear. As you start trusting your divine self with money, you might not see immediate dramatic changes in your bank account, but you will start to notice shifts in how you feel about money and how money situations unfold in your life. You might feel more peaceful about finances. You might start having new ideas about creating income. You might notice that people respond to you differently in financial conversations. These inner changes are just as important as outer changes, maybe even more important, because when your inner world shifts, Your outer world has to shift to match it. Be patient with the process and trust that every moment you spend connected to your divine self is creating positive changes in your financial reality. Remember that you're not alone in this journey. Your divine self is always with you, always ready to guide you, always working on your behalf. God loves you and wants you to have abundance. The universe is conspiring in your favor, not against you. You also have the support of everyone else who is on this same journey of trusting their divine self with money. When you see someone else living abundantly, don't let jealousy creep in. Instead, let their success remind you that abundance is possible for you too. Here's something beautiful to remember. The miracle isn't just what happens in your future financial life. The miracle is also happening right now, in this moment, as you open your heart to these truths. The miracle is that you're remembering who you really are. The miracle is that you're choosing to trust love instead of fear. The miracle is that you're connecting with the divine part of yourself that knows you deserve good things. This inner miracle is the foundation for all the outer miracles that are coming your way. Trust it, nurture it, let it grow stronger every day. I want to end by giving you a personal invitation, an invitation to step into the abundant life that your divine self has always known is possible for you. This invitation isn't conditional on you being perfect or having everything figured out. This invitation is available to you right now, exactly as you are. The invitation is simply this: trust your divine self with your money, starting today. Start with small steps if you need to. Start with moments of trust mixed with moments of doubt if that's where you are. Start with hope instead of certainty if that's all you can manage right now, but start. Your divine self has been waiting for you to remember this truth about yourself and about abundance. Your breakthrough might be closer than you think. Your miracle might be ready to unfold. Your abundant life might be just one decision away, the decision to trust the divine part of yourself that knows you deserve all good things. I hope that this message has lit a fire in your heart and helped you remember the truth about who you are and what you deserve. You are not meant to struggle with money for your whole life. You are not meant to feel scared and desperate about finances. You are meant to live abundantly, to be generous, to use money as a tool for creating good in your world. If this video has touched your soul and reminded you of your divine worth, please hit the like button to help this message reach other people who need to hear it. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss other teachings about living from your divine self. Share this video with someone in your life who needs to remember their worth and their power to create abundance. Most importantly, leave a comment below and tell me about your own money miracles or about what you're calling into your life right now. I read every comment, and I love hearing about how these teachings are working in people's real lives. Your success story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to strengthen their own faith. Thank you for taking this journey with me today. Thank you for being open to these truths. Thank you for being willing to trust your divine self with your money and your abundance. Remember, your divine self is ready to bless you beyond your wildest dreams. Your only job is to trust, to receive, and to let your light shine bright in this world. The abundant life you've been dreaming of is not only possible, it's already yours. Go out there and claim it. Your divine self is cheering you on every step of the way. See you soon, and remember, you are worthy, you are beloved, and your abundance is already on its way to you.